Illinois seems quiet, but some of its towns feel off. Not because of monsters or myths, but because of history, human decisions, and ironies that were left to linger too long. There are towns built on absurd ideas, towns that failed despite having the perfect location, even a former state capital that's almost vanished from the map. This isn't a horror story. This is weird Illinois, and every bit of it is real. Batavia is a strange kind of town, subtly odd. It doesn't scream for attention, but it quietly makes you raise an eyebrow. The first weirdness? Its name? Batavia sounds like a colonial East Coast city or a Dutch outpost. But this is just a quiet Midwest town on the Fox River, about an hour from Chicago. Most people who hear the name assume it's in New York, or something with deep colonial history. Nope, it's in Illinois. Physically, Batavia is clean, safe, and almost too normal, and that's exactly what makes it feel strange. It's one of the oldest towns in Illinois, founded in 1833, full of historic buildings, yet it rarely makes it into the state's major storylines. It's like a town that exists without ambition to be noticed, living quietly while carrying a name that sounds far more dramatic than what's actually here. If Batavia is weird for being too tidy, Lebanon is strange for being too still, as if time just stopped. With a name that sounds big, Lebanon lowers your expectations with its almost silent charm. Located near St. Louis, it's one of the oldest settlements in Illinois, founded in the early 1800s, and it looks like it hasn't changed much in decades. Lebanon is home to McKendree University, the oldest university in Illinois. Ironically, that doesn't make the town feel young or lively. Its downtown is small, with old buildings that remain untouched by aggressive renovations. The whole town moves at its own slow pace. It's not a ghost town, but it doesn't feel fully alive either. Lebanon feels like a waiting room of history, still inhabited, still functional, but somehow forgetting to move on to the next chapter. After Lebanon, which feels like it's standing still, Rantoul gives us a different kind of weird. A town that lost its reason for existing, but is still being forced to survive. Rantoul once thrived around one massive heartbeat, Chanute Air Force Base, a military hub that defined its economy, rhythm, and identity. But when the base closed in the early 1990s, Rantoul lost its direction. Physically, the town is still there. Wide streets, military-era buildings, neighborhoods built for service families. But spiritually, Rantoul feels like a stage set after the show is over. Many buildings have been half-heartedly repurposed, turned into storage, city facilities, or just left empty. Rantoul sits in a kind of post-function limbo. Not quite a ghost town, but not fully recovered either. From Rantoul, which lost its modern function, Golconda takes us way back, to a time when rivers were everything. This small town sits along the Ohio River and is one of the oldest settlements in Illinois, dating back to the late 18th century. Its weirdness doesn't come from crime or scandal, but from the fact that Golconda still seems to live by frontier logic. Once a major ferry point and river stop, long before highways and railroads, Golconda was also along the Trail of Tears, the forced Cherokee removal route in 1838 to 1839. It's a dark chapter not often visible, but one that shapes the town's aura to this day. Many 19th century buildings in its historic district still stand, barely touched by modern renovations. And its name? Golconda comes from a legendary city in India associated with vast riches, ironic for a place so quiet and remote. After Golconda's living artifact vibe, Grafton brings a more jarring kind of weirdness. On the surface, this little river town feels laid back, almost like a seasonal resort. But here's the twist. Grafton is one of the smallest towns in Illinois, with a permanent population of only about 600 to 700 people. That number multiplies during the tourist season. Founded in the 1830s at the meeting of the Mississippi and Illinois rivers, Grafton once thrived on limestone mining and river traffic, gritty industries that built a tough reputation. Fun fact, Grafton nearly emptied out after devastating floods, including the Great Mississippi Flood of 1993, which submerged parts of the town. Instead of leaving, locals rebuilt around tourism. Today, Grafton lives in extremes, a tiny town with big entertainment infrastructure, part summer party, part winter ghost town. After Grafton's seasonal contrasts, Havana brings a simpler kind of weird, total mismatch between name and reality. Say, Havana, and most people think Cuba, Latin music, bright colors, cigars. What do you actually find here? Cornfields, a quiet river, and full-on Midwest. Havana, Illinois, sits on the Illinois River with around 3,000 residents. Founded in the 19th century, its name likely came indirectly from a New York town named Havana, which in turn echoed the Cuban capital. That accidental branding was never corrected, and now it's a source of permanent oddity. Historically, Havana did have a cigar industry and river trade, just enough of a stretch to almost justify the name. After Havana's promise in a name weirdness, Metropolis takes things to the next level with a fully embraced irony. This is the official Superman town, complete with a 15-foot statue of the superhero in the town square and a DC Comics-themed museum. By branding alone, Metropolis sounds like it should be epic. In reality, it's a small town in southern Illinois with a population of around 6,000, far from any actual metropolis. Its weirdness lies in that extreme contrast. Metropolis pins its global identity on a fictional figure, while facing very real human challenges: a modest local economy, reliance on seasonal tourism, and a location far from Illinois' major growth centers. The annual Superman celebration is the one time the town feels big. Then it goes quiet again. Metropolis is a town pretending to be a legend to survive. Not because its people are delusional, but because without Superman, the town might not be remembered at all. If Metropolis survives through superhero fantasy, then normal is weird in the opposite way. By declaring itself ordinary, the name is literally normal, as if it set out to be as unremarkable as possible. But in reality, it's anything but simple. Normal was named after the Illinois State Normal University, where normal school was the 19th century term for a teacher training college. That's where the irony begins. With a population of about 55,000 shared with Bloomington as its twin city, Normal is full of students, professors, research, ideas, and economic complexity. It's not a sleepy town, not quite a big city either. The town's oddness is in its identity paradox, a name promising stability, hiding a place that's constantly in motion. Normal thrives on intellectual energy, student migration, and modern industry, yet carries a name that sounds like a baseline. After Normal's ironic name, Long Grove feels strange in a different way, by intentionally resisting time. This isn't a town that got left behind. It's one that chose to push modernity away. Located on the edge of suburban Chicago, Long Grove enforces strict zoning laws, bans certain streetlights, and preserves old-fashioned architecture to protect its 19th century village aesthetic. Its icon is a wooden-covered bridge that has been hit by trucks multiple times and repaired each time, as if the town refuses to acknowledge modern traffic realities. That's the weird part. Long Grove clings to a fragile symbol on purpose. With strawberry festivals, rustic shops, and colonial-era vibes, the town nurtures nostalgia with discipline. Despite having around 8,000 residents and being surrounded by sleek suburbs, Long Grove lives in comfort while refusing to truly be part of the 21st century. If Long Grove is about preserving the past, Casey takes a wildly different route by supersizing everything. This tiny town in eastern Illinois embraced one absurd idea. What if everyday objects were made gigantic and turned it into a full-blown city identity? The result? Casey holds dozens of Guinness World Records for largest items. Mailbox, rocking chair, pencil, pitchfork, birdcage, you name it. With a population of just 2,800, Casey feels like a town-wide public art experiment. The weirdness isn't just in the size of the objects, it's in how seriously everyone takes it. These aren't temporary installations. This is the town's economic strategy, tourism plan, and community pride, all rolled into one. The city map even functions like a scavenger hunt to find all the giant items. Casey proves a town doesn't need a tragic past or heavy industry to survive. It just needs one ridiculous idea executed without shame. And somehow, it works. Anna brings us into a much heavier kind of weird, one rooted in historical burden. A small town in southern Illinois with around 4,000 residents, Anna looks ordinary on the map, but its name carries a long-standing and deeply uncomfortable reputation. From the late 19th to early 20th century, Anna was widely known as a sundown town, a place where Black Americans were not safe after dark. A racist acronym tied to the town's name lingered for decades, leaving behind a documented stigma still discussed in social history circles. While laws have changed and generations have passed, the memory hasn't completely faded. Anna is an example of a place where history isn't just in a museum. It lives on in its reputation, in conversations, and in the caution with which outsiders say its name. Cairo is weird not because of some mystery or myth, but because of a near mathematical failure. Geographically, it should have been a winner. Located precisely at the confluence of the Mississippi and Ohio rivers, Cairo once sat on one of the most strategic sites in 19th century America. In theory, it was built for commerce, power, and growth. Today, Cairo has fewer than 2,000 residents, a massive drop from its boomtown peak. Downtown is lined with empty storefronts, abandoned homes, and streets built for a population that never came back. The weirdness isn't just in poverty or decline. Lots of towns have seen that. Cairo is strange because all the structural advantages failed to materialize. Long-standing racial conflict, shifting river trade routes, and growing isolation chipped away at its promise. Cairo feels like a grand experiment with the wrong outcome. The perfect location, undone by broken social and economic execution. Alton is weird in a more emotional way. A small city with a density of death and ghost stories that feels wildly disproportionate. With a population of around 27,000, Alton is frequently called one of the most haunted towns in America, a claim that sounds sensational, but its roots are very real. Alton has a loaded history of violence. It was home to Illinois' first state prison, once the site of public executions. It's also where abolitionist journalist Elijah Lovejoy was murdered in 1837, a national event that cemented Alton as a flashpoint in America's moral struggle. Add to that an old asylum, 19th century buildings, and sprawling cemeteries, and you get a haunting reputation that feels earned, not manufactured. Alton comes off as a city that's held too much death for its size, and let it all ferment into an aura that's hard to ignore, even if you don't believe in ghosts. Where Alton is haunted by bloody history, Bishop Hill is weird in a quieter, almost utopian way, because its social experiment was completely real. This small village was founded in 1846 by Swedish immigrants who followed Eric Jansen, a charismatic religious leader who preached a life without personal property, money, or worldly hierarchy. In short, it was a religious communist commune in the middle of rural Illinois. At its peak, hundreds lived and worked communally, handing over all possessions to the group. That system lasted just long enough to leave a physical imprint: large brick buildings, communal dorms, and a village layout that feels oddly foreign for the Midwest. After Jansen was murdered in 1850, the colony unraveled, but the village remains almost entirely intact. Bishop Hill's weirdness lies in the fact that it wasn't a cult or rumor. It was a full-scale ideological experiment that failed, then froze in time as a living museum. And finally, Kaskaskia, a peak example of weirdness that feels almost unfair. This was once Illinois' capital, the official seat of statehood. But today, Kaskaskia is barely on the map. Visually or logically, its population has dwindled to just a handful of residents, making it one of the smallest communities in America. The weirdness begins with broken geography. In the late 1800s, the Mississippi River shifted course after a major flood, physically cutting Kaskaskia off from Illinois. Technically, it still belongs to Illinois, but the only road access is through Missouri. It's a town nudged out of its state by the river itself. Historic buildings still stand, an old church, a state monument, but they sit in silence, surrounded by emptiness. Kaskaskia isn't a full ghost town. It's still alive, still official, but its existence feels like a glitch in the system. A forgotten capital that was never properly written out of the story. It's not a dramatic ending, and maybe that's what makes it so strange.